There was only one way to keep her alive. He had to make her untouchable. She thought the worst part was over. The gunfire. The shattered house. The armored van. She was wrong. Because the real danger wasn't bullets. It was what the dog had been carrying. The gates didn't open. They separated. Two slabs of reinforced steel sliding apart like something mechanical had decided she was allowed inside. The armored van climbed higher into the mountains overlooking Seoul. Concrete walls. Thermal cameras. Electrified wire. No neighbors. No witnesses. The vehicle stopped beneath a brutalist structure of glass and black stone carved into the cliff. Not a mansion. A command center. The door opened. Cold air. No birds. No sound. Out, he said. She stepped onto polished stone that cost more than her entire apartment building. Men bowed their heads as he passed. Not respectfully. Conditioned. He didn't take her through the grand entrance. He led her to a side wing. The smell hit first. Ozone. Antiseptic. Sterile air. He opened a heavy door. Inside. A state-of-the-art veterinary surgical suite. Better than the clinic she'd worked in for 3 years. And in the center. The Doberman. Gurium. Alive. Warm. Monitored. His tail thumped weakly when he smelled her. Her breath left her in a rush. You moved him, she whispered. My men are efficient, Kim Dae-hyun replied. He watched her kneel beside the dog like a scientist observing a rare phenomenon. You are here, he continued calmly, because you are the only person he trusts. She felt it then. Not fear. Surveillance. A guard stood near the door, arms behind his back, posture rigid. Not relaxed. Not bored. Watching. Not her hands. Her eyes. Evaluating. Like she wasn't a guest. Like she was a variable. She wasn't being protected. She was being measured. And because you were the last one to see what he carried. She didn't look up. I told you. I didn't see anything. His voice dropped. Perhaps. 2 hours later, the door opened again. Not a maid. Not a guard. Him. Without his jacket. Without the composure. Blood soaked through a temporary bandage across his shoulder blade. Dark red against white gauze. You were hit, she said flatly. A fragment, he replied. He turned his back to her. From a distance, his tattoos looked ornamental. Up close, they were a battlefield. A tiger twisting through storms of ink. Scars cutting through art. Fix it. She didn't argue. She set her bag down. Gloves on. Gauze soaked. When she pressed saline into the wound, his muscles tightened but he didn't flinch. You don't react to pain? She asked quietly. In my world, he said, staring at the city lights beyond the glass, pain is proof you survived. She removed the fragment. Metal hit the tray. Clink. The room went silent except for their breathing. You could have died, she said. He turned his head slightly. I don't die easily. She stitched him with the same steady precision she used on his dog. No shaking. No hesitation. He noticed. When she tied the final knot, he stood and turned to face her. Bare chest. Inked neck. Eyes too sharp to be accidental. You are not afraid of me, he observed. She met his gaze. I've worked in emergencies for 7 years. You're not the worst thing I've seen bleeding. For the first time. The faintest hint of a smirk. Then it vanished. Tomorrow, he said quietly, stepping closer, you will sit at my table. The dress was deep emerald silk. Not suggestive. Strategic. She walked into a long mahogany dining hall carved from a single slab of dark wood. 6 men were already seated. All dangerous. All watching her like a disruption. Kim Dae-hyun sat at the head. Black suit. Tattooed hands resting calmly on the table. Sit, he said. She sat to his right. That placement was not random. One of the men leaned forward. You cost us 4 soldiers yesterday, he said coldly. For a vet technician. She didn't respond. Dae-hyun swirled his wine. She saved Gurium. Another man scoffed. It's a dog. The glass hit the table. Soft. Controlled. I care, Dae-hyun said quietly. And the room temperature dropped. Then the real accusation came. She was alone with the caller. She could have the drive. Every eye shifted to her. She didn't break. I don't have your drive, she said calmly. And if you kill me, you kill the only person keeping your boss's dog alive. A few of them looked surprised. Dae-hyun didn't. He reached across the table. Covered her hand with his tattooed one. From this moment on, he said, I's never leaving hers, she is under my protection. Not a suggestion. Declaration. The men understood the real message. Touch her. Die. That night, she couldn't sleep. The fortress was silent. Too silent. She returned to the veterinary suite. Gurium stirred as she approached. She checked his sutures. Vitals stable. Then her eyes drifted to the counter. The collar. Heavy. Gold. Stamped with the tiger crest. His man had scanned it. X-rayed it. Pulled it apart. Found nothing. They looked for technology. She looked for imperfection. She picked it up. Ran her thumb along the inner seam. There. A microscopic catch behind the tiger's eye. Not visible. Felt. She grabbed a surgical probe. Pressed. The buckle didn't open. It shifted. A thin panel slid sideways with a whisper. Inside. Not a flash drive. Not a chip. A sliver of translucent vellum. Handwritten Hanja. Coordinates. Stamps in faded red ink. Her pulse spiked. This wasn't digital. This couldn't be hacked. This was a legacy. This, a voice said behind her, low and controlled, is why men are dying. She froze. Kim Dae-hyun stood in the doorway. Shirt open at the collar. Neck tattoos half-shadowed. She slowly turned. Held up the vellum. They were looking for a drive, she said carefully. They were looking for the wrong thing. He stepped closer. Took the scroll from her. Read. His jaw tightened. The blood ledger, he whispered. His enemies hadn't wanted money. They wanted lineage. Power secured by blood. And she had just exposed it. He looked at her. Not as a hostage. Not as a medic. But as something far more dangerous. You found what my cryptographers couldn't. He stepped into her space. Close enough that she could feel heat radiating from him. My enemies will learn you saw this. Heavy. Final. And that means. His hand lifted. Not violent. But possessive. His fingers lightly touched the side of her neck. You know too much. If you think this is where it ends. You don't know the dragon.